The Simpsons Tapped Out has been one of the most popular and enduring titles in mobile gaming. While it isn't perfect in quite a few ways, it's managed to stay on the App Store for over 12 years. It's garnered hundreds of millions of dollars and has always had a consistent fan base, along with frequent updates. This game is in the hearts of not only Simpsons fans, but also the casual mobile gamer.
Whose bright idea was it for me to play yet another super addictive, you have to play it every single day game?
And chances are, you at some point have downloaded this game. With all the success that Tapped Out has gained over the last 13 years, it would be a sudden shock to its active and former players when it was announced that the game would be shutting down forever. What about all the money that people had spent on the game? What about everyone's time and effort put into their very own Springfield? Why is The Simpsons Tapped Out tapping out? In this video, I will be going over the rise and sudden downfall of this game, along with my own experiences and opinion of it all. Hey guys, before the video starts, I just thought I'd ask for a thumbs up on the video. I'm not really sure if YouTube is going to put this one in the algorithm because I don't really talk about Simpsons or video games, but maybe you can change that and help me out by just dropping a like. It would be very appreciated. Thank you. It was probably a random summer day in 2013, and I remember searching for a new game to play on my phone. It was in those moments that I came across a trailer for a relatively new Simpsons game. I had grown up as a pretty big Simpsons fan, from collecting anything I could find from the show at garage sales and flea markets, to having a Simpsons-themed birthday party. This new game seemed like something right up my alley, and it definitely was. After a few days of playing, I wouldn't say I grew addicted, but I definitely had a lot of fun and kept coming back to it. When starting out in Tapped Out, you're met with a cutscene of Homer playing a freemium-styled elf game on his iPad. It's actually pretty funny, as he's giving a very meta take on playing games similar to the one the player is about to be getting into.
You tap and wait and tap and wait. And for what? So your pretend town can have more pretend flowers than your pretend friends?
Of course, Homer gets tired of waiting just like anyone else does, and indulges in the best part of freemium gaming: microtransactions.
That should speed things up. I spent $1,000? Oh well, I'll just tell them that my kid did that.
And then everyone dies. Once the intro cutscenes are over, the game starts out with a small plot of land, pieces of sludge and debris, and Homer Simpson. The very first step is to place the Simpsons house, and from that point on, the objective of the game is to unlock more patches of land and expand your personal Springfield with buildings, characters, and surprisingly a lot more. From collecting super niche characters from the show, to making your own Krusty Land theme park, and collecting more characters that I've never seen in my life, like Who Is This?, Tapped Out was very appealing and quite redeeming for both casual and hardcore Simpsons fans alike. As far as the gameplay went, it wasn't anything too special, even for its time. It pretty much followed the same patterns and formulas as other freemium-styled city builders, but that's not to say that it wasn't good, or that it wasn't unique in certain aspects. Like, it's worth mentioning to the diehard Simpsons fanatic that Tapped Out had its own canon and expansive lore from the show. This would be pretty apparent if you read through the countless amounts of dialogue that each character had to offer, but if we're being honest, 99% of people who played the game didn't care much about that. Some other good things worth noting is how the animation and overall aesthetics of the game was pretty good to look at. Like, every character and building had the right amount of detail put into it, and it stayed true to the show. The game was packed with tons of mildly underwhelming missions to do, so it was a good time waster if you needed to waste that time. Depending on how much stuff you had, there was usually something to work on or continue upgrading, which is pretty underwhelming like I said, but it's always exciting when a new building gets constructed after half a day of waiting. I tried spending 0 donuts to speed up progress on my new Springfield slaughterhouse. And that's where I'll transition into the negative side of Tapped Out. And I hate to say it, I really do, but there's probably more bad to discuss than good to discuss.
What you want, son?
The initial reviews of Tapped Out when it first came out back in 2012 were pretty mixed. Everybody agreed that the design of the game was really good. It was funny, it was good for Simpsons fans, but everyone also had the same complaints, the main one being the freemium model. To give a brief explanation of what freemium means, it's essentially when a product is labeled as being free. You should be able to download this free game and experience a free playthrough, until you don't. A game is no longer free when you're forced into spending real money to buy a special currency, unlocking exclusive items and speeding up your progress, which would otherwise take a long time without spending real-life money. For example, some of the most popular and iconic buildings and characters in Tapped Out are hidden behind a paywall. You literally couldn't unlock Barney and his Bolorama, or even Duffman and the Volcano Lair, without spending hundreds of donuts. This enough turned many players away from ever returning to the game. Now, I would like to add that I'm not totally against the freemium structure, like it's just kinda how it has to be, and while it does suck, the developers have to turn a decent profit somehow. Without people buying copious amounts of donuts, I'm not sure how they'd be raking in the cash without blasting ads all over the loading screen. It's a double-edged sword, ads or donuts. They gotta make money somehow. Some other common critiques at this time was that the game grew to be boring because of all the waiting the player has to endure when playing a city building game. So that's not entirely Tapped Out's fault. Stuff like that just kinda comes with the genre. There was also the flip side of that argument when people complained about having too much to do. Frequent updates can be a very positive quality, and Tapped Out stayed more than consistent and did a great job at dropping seasonal and festive updates, but at times, the constant changes could feel more like a chore and less like a game. I just didn't have the stamina to stick with Tapped Out. In essence, I myself became tapped out, exhausted by the process. That was pretty much the main complaints about the game shortly after being released. Aside from the more minor things like reports of players losing their progress, in-game currencies not being recorded, which would lead to mass refunds from Apple, and the game feeling rushed out for release with major flaws and apparently little beta testing. Fortunately, cases like these didn't last that long as the years would go by.
What you want, son?
So, even though Tapped Out was never close to being perfect, that wasn't going to stop the hundreds of thousands of people who were going to play regardless of criticism. People like me just enjoyed the game for what it was. It became a daily pastime to open up my Springfield and slowly get stuff done. It felt rewarding, it felt fun, it eventually felt nostalgic, as the game stayed on my home screen for over a decade. Nothing was going to stop the dedicated players from playing until the game itself decided to. On September 26, 2024, logging on to Simpsons Tapped Out would greet you with the following message. Sadly, in-app purchases have been disabled, and the game will no longer be available from the App Store after October 31st, 2024. You may continue playing until January 24th, 2025. Then the game will no longer be accessible until we meet again. To say the least, the diehard player base and casual players like myself were gutted. What do you mean the game is shutting down? Why is it shutting down? What about all of our progress? What about all of our money spent? I mean, that's what they wanted, and they received millions of dollars over the course of a decade, just for everyone's progress to be wiped away completely, and seemingly out of nowhere. If I had anyone to break this news to, it would be my dad. My dad spent more than a couple $100 on this game back in the day when I was a young boy, and I wanted to see his reaction to it all going down the drain. I guess to start off the interview, what games did I grow up playing, like on my phone, off the top of your head?
Minecraft, Bart Simpsons.
You remember what that game was called? The Bart Simpson one?
Something World.
Something World? Okay, so it was the Simpsons Tapped Out, ring a bell?
Yep.
That's actually what this is about.
Yep, I remember that.
There's some sad news I have to tell you. All of Simpsons Tapped Out and the servers are shutting down tomorrow.
All my money that I spent.
All the money that you spent on my donuts, it's all gone.
Wow, it's devastating.
I know.
What are you gonna do now?
Nothing. I don't know.
Is your life over with now? Did the Simpsons predict this happening?
Yeah, they predicted their own downfall.
I guess he's tapping out.
With only a couple of days before the deletion, I decided to play for one last time. If I'm being honest, I had taken a pretty long break from the game, but it was thankfully still on my phone, and I got to experience a small piece of my childhood for the final time. So right now it is January 22nd, 11 p.m. It's about to be the 23rd, which is technically the last day to ever play The Simpsons Tapped Out, so let's get to it. Alright guys, so I just spent like the last half hour getting all the buildings I have. It seems pretty structured. Like as a kid, I would always try my best to make it as like realistic as possible, but you'll quickly learn that it's really hard to do that. But yeah, that's pretty much the whole world. let's do some final things before this game is taken away from us. So the last thing I'm going to do, or one of the last things I'm going to do, is press the Skyfinger monument, and that will basically tap all your buildings for you and get your cash. One of the first things you do in the game is get a quickie mart and do a scratch off. Yeah, well, you can't do that anymore. Oh yeah, you can. Nice, I got 350 bucks. I think that's kind of like all the final things I can do. I don't know what that is. Let's see what I can buy with donuts. How about that? I have 325, so let's see what cool things I could get. You know, since the game's going away forever, I don't see why they don't just make everything like one donut. Off the top of my head, I'd either want the Bolorama. Ooh, the Springfield Gorge is really cool. It's like a big canyon sort of thing. Man, I was missing out. I hate how some of these were a lot of donuts. It's not really pay to win. It's just like, if you want some of your favorite characters, you have to pay real money, which isn't cool. Volcano Lair, that's like the cool thing that all the if you go to look at somebody's Springfield, they would always have the Volcano Lair. How much is the Carl thing? Because I know Carl has like a big monument. I think maybe I can't get that. Oh, the Duff Brewery. My last purchase in the Springfield Tapped Out is Barney's Bolorama, and we're gonna have it. Well, it's sad, but he's kind of all alone down here. Oh, thank God it only takes 6 seconds to build. I wouldn't have even gotten to see it if it had taken longer. Barney, dude, I've been wanting Barney since I was a kid. And I unlocked the Plow King. All right, I have 75 donuts left, so let's see what else I can get. Let's see how many donuts I can buy with 40K. Okay, I have 100 donuts now. Sideshow Mel. I have a bunch of quests, like there's a lot of things I can do for my characters, but what's sad is that if I make Barney go on a drinking binge for 24 hours, he's just gonna be stuck there for eternity. The rest of his existence, if this game gets deleted, is just him. You know what, that makes sense though, because that's all Barney does. He drinks beer. Now he's just gonna drink beer for the rest of his life. So hopefully, not for the last time, like surely they're gonna bring this game back. This is the last time I'll be having Springfield Tapped Out open, which is like, it's not the biggest deal in the world because I really wasn't playing this game like ever recently. For the last time, like I said, hopefully not forever. Shortly before the game was gone forever, I decided to go onto the Tapped Out subreddit and came across this post that was asking what everyone's last day plans would be. This person said that they're going to have their characters do their favorite animated jobs forever. This person said they're going to set them free and let them do whatever they want. This person's going to put up the Christmas lights on the Simpsons house. This individual is going to treat their final day just like any other, and the list goes on and on. Other people on Reddit shared a final portrait of their Springfield, showing all the progress they accumulated over the years. And I was pretty surprised to see how much more impressive everyone else's were when compared to my teeny tiny town. Somebody sent a letter to Donald Trump to get the game back. Some people were asking if there's any way to keep playing the game even after it's gone, while others accepted their fate and just wanted something else similar to check out. But before the day of deletion comes, I've yet to answer the question of, why is The Simpsons Tapped Out being shut down? The most official and in-depth statement I could find from the developers is on a Facebook post that just says, "Hey guys, it's a difficult decision that we have to do this, but we're gonna do it. Thanks for playing." So the real reason for all of this happening dates back to 2005, when EA Sports would secure an exclusive license to make video games based on The Simpsons. As far as I know, the nitty-gritty of the agreements were never publicized, but it's safe to assume that EA Sports signed a 20-year contract, or just kept extending their contract after a certain point, with it eventually expiring in January of this year. Now, why I bring all of this up is because Disney bought the rights to The Simpsons back in 2019. This means that they probably had no interest in extending EA's contract, which also means that EA has to shut down the game. Along with this, The Simpsons attractions at Universal Studios are going to be replaced sooner than later, as Universal Studios' rights to The Simpsons expires in 4 years. Now, I thankfully got to visit Krusty Land back in 2013, and I'm sure that once it's gone, that Disney will just sort of remake their own version of this at their own parks. But on the flip side of that, there will be no recreation or no re-experiencing The Simpsons Tapped Out, as January 24th came around and the game would be unplayable. All the time that players put in over the last decade, gone. All the money spent for pretty much nothing. All the hard work put into the updates and designs, lost. What really makes me grind my teeth about The Simpsons Tapped Out is that it's actually a fun game that I would play the hell out of. I would plunk down some of my hard-earned cash in order to buy this game with all the features available. I would pay the upper end of the App Store price range for this game, and I wouldn't regret it for a second. Instead, what I have is a mildly interactive screensaver that keeps trying to nick my wallet. Fox and EA are so eager to scam money from easily addicted casual gamers that they let the entertainment factor slide out of view. Heck, I might still be playing it, forcing myself to be patient and resist the temptation to buy donuts because I want a volcano base. But after 2 days, the game has irreversibly crashed and won't move past the company logos, and I'm kinda pissed at those companies, so I don't feel very motivated to start again from scratch. Final recommendation, fuck this game, and fuck everyone who decided to turn this into a money-spinning episode instead of a piece of entertainment. Despite all of the criticism that I've covered with this game, whether it's valid or just not that deep, I loved Tapped Out. Even though I would go months without playing it, that was just part of the routine. I'm sure it was a matter of time until I picked it back up again. Like I've said a bunch of times, the game was never perfect. But honestly, what city building mobile game has ever been perfect? I definitely think that Tapped Out stood out from the rest of the pack. Nobody cares about that Family Guy clone. Nobody cares about that stupid Snow White game. Like, who is playing this? Tapped Out stood its ground. And even with EA Sports being the developer, which is a major red flag, the game could have ended up way worse. You were a good game. You were a fun game. You got boring sometimes. You got greedy sometimes. But you provided years of entertainment and something to do. Rest in peace.
What you want, son?
As of recording this, it's nearly been a month since the game's deletion, and there's no signs of it coming back. Weirdly enough, the game still notifies you to come back and play it every couple of days, so that's pretty creepy. Okay, so I think it's been 4 or 5 days since the deletion. Look who texted me. Get that. Can you see who that is? So it's probably just going to give me that error screen. All that we have left of Tapped Out is pictures, memories, nostalgia,
Hey! Stop doing things and come play with me!
and this billboard that's still standing at Universal Studios Hollywood for some reason. Some of my favorite memories that I had were things like that one secret Easter egg, where if you tapped on Homer a bunch, then you would unlock the secret Jebediah statue along with 10 measly donuts. I would always watch this YouTube video of a guy spending $100 on donuts. This is a certified hood classic.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, children of all ages, Hollywood Shoutout here, about to bring you another Simpsons Tapped Out video.
Every year when it got close to Christmas time, everything in the game would be covered with snow. And this actually caused a lot of controversy in the community because a lot of people just didn't like it. You can't forget about the guy who did a 12-year-long Let's Play of the game, and he literally missed one single update out of like 300. What I find messed up about this in particular is that he didn't get acknowledged by the game at all. You would think that this legend would maybe get his own NPC or mention or anything, but there's that.
And I guess I just felt like it would have been kind of nice to maybe be acknowledged for it. But, you know, I wasn't mad or anything. I just thought it would have been kind of a cool touch, you know. But, hey, you know what? That's okay. The important thing is, like I said before, if I didn't, it's the memories. It's all of you. It was always reading the wonderful comments. And
feel free to share your own favorite memories or moments in the comment section. I'd be glad to read them. With all of that said, contractual obligations and corporate greed can take away Tapped Out forever. But if there's one thing that they can't take, it's something even better. The Simpsons Hit and Run. If you're still watching the video, then thank you very much for making it to the end. Thank you to everyone who makes me fan art. I'm gonna let it go for just a second. And here's a special shout out to everyone on my Patreon. Six Eyeing, Basmic, Bella M, Big Jickle, Dusty Antler, Esso Boomin, Evan W, Eyeball Dude, 4 for Color, Jera, Josh S, Josh Wynn, Landon Rodriguez, LeBron James Hairline, Lottie Dottie, Mommy Trash Sack, Matt Sat on a Cat, Miko, Must Lord, Osman Mad for Real, Primavera, RBC Denson, Matt McCusker, Shinshiro Saito, Shiny Breakson, Takai Murasaki, and Teeth Consumer.
I go to sleep at 9 o'clock. This bitch stays up all night, but I see through you. I took a nap right